Good afternoon, everyone. It's been truly an honor to be here with such a distinguished person, group of person. As pediatric surgeon, we all dedicate our career to our young patient, striving to make a difference. But in today's world, delivering excellent care is only a part of the equation. And to reach more patient and build a successful practice, promoting ourselves and our service is becoming equally important. We are going to discuss some strategies today. We are not here to teach, but to initiate a conversation on how we, as a professional, can connect with our families who need our expertise. So, what does self-promotion means? Self-promotion is crucial, not only to bring more patients, but to build a reputation among our own faculty and to other doctors, faculties, and of course to sustain a practice growth. I hand over to Dr. Abirami, who will discuss the result of first survey.
So the first survey is among the parents. So we shared a Google form which had 10 parameters which include clear communication, like what does the parent expect from the pediatric surgeon when they meet them in the private clinic or the hospital. So the first parameter was the clear communication, second was their experience, third was the empathy, and fourth was the time which the pediatric surgeon spent with the parent. Fifth was their involvement in decision making, and sixth was the respect and confidentiality, and seventh was the waiting time, eighth was the accessibility for the concerns, and ninth was the ambience of the hospital, and 10th was the educational material, like when we give some advices like voiding diary or some bowel bladder dysfunctions, then we can give them some educational material. So I'm very thankful that I got 195 responses from the parents. I take this opportunity to thank them, and also to conclude, the results are the first order of preference was clear communication, and the second was the respect which the doctor have for the patient and the confidentiality, and third was their experience, and also the time they spend with the parent is also in the third place, and empathy was in the fifth place, and the educational material which we provide them is in the sixth place. The accessibility for the concerns was for the seventh place, like we can give our secretary's number or some WhatsApp number or group number in which they can commute. And also the involvement in decision making, the parents' involvement was in 8th place. The waiting time, we always think that the parents are impatient to wait, but that was in the 9th place to my surprise also, and the ambience was in the 10th place. So I like to hand over to explain the pediatric surgeon's response on the private practice to Dr. Ajay.
These were the expectations of the parents who visited our clinic for their children. And we conducted another survey among pediatric surgeons. And we asked them few questions regarding how to promote their self in private practice. And these are the results that we got. Most of the doctors had experience more than 5 years. But a majority chunk, 40% of our responders were having experience less than 5 years, means mostly they are youngsters. Most of the responders were from tier 2 cities where actual survival drama happens among doctor and patients. And more than half of our doctors were attached to multi-specialty hospital and doing freelancing. So when we asked about the promotional technique, which promotional methods do they currently use, almost 100%, means all the responders, they believe on word of mouth referrals. But mostly 1/3 of them, they went with Google business or SEO optimization or medical conferences or seminars. And almost half of them agree that promotional methods by posting on social media that helps in promoting themselves in private practice. When asked about the strategies, most of them agreed with word of mouth referrals, and a major chunk agreed that to promote themselves was to collaborate with other pediatricians and doctors, means the doctors from other faculty also. And when we asked about the personal website, does it help in patient acquisition? Straightforward, 40% they believe that it is not helpful, but more than 50% they believe that somewhat it is helpful in promoting themselves. And means most of them, around 50%, they are not actively collecting and managing patient reviews on Google or any portal. But almost half of them are managing these things. And how frequently? Usually they give a weekly time. One third of our responder, they used to give a weekly time. And when we asked about how have they built any referral network with general practitioner and other healthcare professional, most of them agreed that yes, they have a moderate connection. And do they participate in community outreach or free camps or educational seminars? Occasionally, yes, they do involve themselves for promoting themselves in private practice. And what was the biggest challenge you face in promoting your private practice? It was budget constraint and lack of time. How comfortable they were using digital tools like social media, website, online advertisement. They all were somewhat comfortable, but a few, means one-fourth of them were not comfortable at all. So, when asked that which areas they would like to improve in terms of promoting their own practice, it was like building referral network got the maximum vote, and social media presence got 33% of the vote. And what type of support and resources they wanted or they found most helpful in promoting their practice was collaboration opportunities with other doctors.
So the major part of this discussion will be our experts' opinion. So we had kept our survey analysis short. So the first question will be, what will be the advisable promotional technique and which promotional techniques you have used currently? The question will be to Dr. Shalini ma'am.
Well, I'm again a little bit of misfit here because I don't believe in promoting myself. So anyways, our hospital does some promotion, and luckily I'm working in a hospital also where they are not very pro-marketing, and we somehow believe that our work speaks for us, and I get most of my patients either as referrals from the pediatric units, and also the patients whom we treat and they become better and they send the rest of the patients. So it's more like word of the mouth. And I am not comfortable promoting myself on social media, but I can just tell you a very, what the public wants and how they perceive when somebody is putting a post on the social media. A very small example, I went to US and I met one old, after a long time I met a relative there. And she was telling me about some back pain. My husband's an orthopedic surgeon. So she said, you know, there is one very big doctor in our family and he has such nice posts on Facebook and this, that and the other. Next time I come to Delhi, I want to show that doctor. I said, who is this? And I looked up and it was my husband and I had a big laugh. So just because he's been promoting his this thing, so they think, oh, ये तो बहुत बड़ा doctor है, ये तो बहुत अच्छी अच्छी चीजें लिखा है. So we have to learn that art. I'm not good at it, but I think not go out of the way, but what work you are doing, unless you showcase it to the world. And to me, the other thing is meeting people. Meeting people who will be potentially, who will refer. So I would definitely like to go to all pediatric hematology oncology conferences, IMA meetings with pediatricians. Those things I definitely like to do.
Thank you, ma'am. That was very useful. And to Senil Ganesh sir, so what was your biggest challenge in private practice and your advice for the new practitioners?
So I think the biggest challenge in private practice, particularly in our specialty, is that still at this stage we don't have direct recognition amongst the patients. All our patients, most of our patients come through pediatricians. So whatever happens, whatever stage of your practice, the word of mouth comes as a second choice. So it depends on, how well your pediatricians recognize you. So there are a couple of steps. At the initial stage, one, of course, like Madam had suggested, to interact with them, go and attend CMEs and give talks, particularly where there is a large group of pediatricians. And in those talks, try to capitalize on your area of strength. rather than trying to speak in general, where, you know, you're really confident about handling something. So this is the way I will prioritize first. I mean, if you want to particularly improve in private practice. And the second thing is, of course, the word of mouth. I feel the word of mouth basically comes by a couple of things about how accessible you are to your patients at all points of time. The accessibility, it does not mean that you have to keep attending the phone at all times. So I did one particular move about 10 years back, in which, you know, I hired a secretary who does all the phone calls. So basically, she's the person who establishes contact with my patients and makes them comfortable, either before and after the process, after the operation, that still we are connected. Not that they just have to come and see me in the OPD or land in some vague hospital with some minor or a major symptom. So this makes them more comfortable, though you are not actually involved in all the process, wherein you will be attending some, suppose you become more busy, you'll be attending some 50 phone calls in a day while you're operating, which is not feasible. So it'll be worthwhile to make yourself accessible to patients and get them to give you more referrals, is to have somebody in between you and the patient, who's of course, you know, who carries the same attitude as you.
Sir, what strategy do you think work best in bringing new patients? Sir.
As it is repeatedly being told, our patients means it's our pediatricians. So making friends with new pediatricians of all generation, if you are working in an institution or medical college, right from the head of the pediatrics till the recent most resident of the pediatrics should be your good friend. So they are the referring base, that is in a logical way. And word of mouth referral, as far as the old patients are concerned, the accessibility should be there for them to ask us about the non-pediatric surgical elements also. One way is like Dr. Senthil Ganesh told, you can have another person in between the patient and you. For that stage to reach, you need some amount of practice. For those beginners who are just out of MCH, you still have time to respond to the patient, though you can't attend the calls during the surgery, during your OPD times. With the WhatsApp era, you can just tell them that if I'm not attending the call, I'm busy in surgery. So you can just put in the message, whenever I'm free, you can, I'll respond. And even if there is some delay, we can respond. And responding to them for the non-surgical queries by taking help from other specialties and responding through us will help us for the patient to refer some more patients. And having friends in some other specialties other than pediatrics also helps for about 20 to 30%, because not always all pediatric cases go to pediatricians. It's because so many times they go to ENT surgeons, ophthalmologists, so many times gynecologists. So other specialty people's contact is also of paramount importance. And apart from IAP forums where the pediatricians are there to directly understand your field of work, for example, bronchoscopies or hydrocephalus meningomyelocele, which they think it is a field of ENT or neurosurgery, in those areas, the direct referring people has to be addressed. So we can extend our outreach to the IMA meetings, where everybody will sit right from PHC medical officer till a medical gastroenterologist. So meeting people and projecting work should go up to the level of IMA meetings. And as Abirami was telling, the waiting time was given less importance by the patient as far as the survey is concerned. But in our practice, we see patients get agitated when they are waiting. And in initial part of the career where you go to multiple hospitals, if the patient is waiting for a long time, you drive for a long time, that is not corresponding, that is an issue. But so many instances when you are in a beginning stage of career, you go and sit in front of the patient and you don't have any waiting patient also outside. That is a negative way of marketing because you are waiting for a single patient. So in a tactical way, you should just plan in such a way that you reach 5 minutes after the patient and you can just project yourself telling that I'm 5 minutes late, I was busy in a surgery, though you are just coming from sleep. So that is another tactics of managing for youngsters.
Thank you, sir. As most of us.
For the accessibility, I just want to give one small example. I learned this from Dr. Sudipta Sen during my MCH in CMC Vellore. He used to give, he still doesn't have a WhatsApp ala mobile, landline number of his home. He used to give that to his patients because a lot of patients come from West Bengal and they all can't come for follow-up. And there was a fixed time, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. That phone will continuously ring and all the patients wanted to talk to him and he would talk, and he would remember everybody's creat also. Of course, he was he's a different amazing person. Similarly, what I do is, I give them a time because sometimes they are not happy talking to somebody else instead of the doctor who operated. So I give them a time at 6 to 7 p.m. is the time when I'm traveling home. You can call me at that time. Even if somebody called in the morning, somebody else attends, I'm operating, please call at 6 p.m. So if you fix a time like that, whatever suits you, then the patient is happy, unless it's an emergency. Emergency, then you correct to casualty.
Just one point I'd like to add on to what Jagdish said about the waiting time. So as you advance into your practice and you're attending to more hospitals, when you're giving an appointment, you just need to let the patient know sometimes the waiting time may be a little longer. So and generally they know at that stage that, your time is important and they don't really mind waiting, even if you're going to be half an hour or 45 minutes late, particularly when you're commuting between places.
Most of us are now making videos and posting it on social media. So does it help? Like most often when we give a general kind of instruction in our social media post, and then the parents, they are following us, and when they will actually require any help from us, they might be already been influenced from us, and they might come. So do you think, does it really help?
See, coming on to social media, right in the, now I've got a practice of about 20 years. So about 8-9 years into my practice, and I moved to Australia. So there was this occasion when, I was just walking around the world. There was a kid dressed in this fancy Spider-Man costume. So I took a photo and I immediately posted it on social media. It was not for anything else, it's just that I was impressed with that kid's costume. But immediately there was a call from the medical director of the hospital saying patient's privacy is very important, you can't be doing all these things. So from that moment till this date, I have not used social media as a means of projecting my practice. Basically because I understand that patient privacy is very important. But I think, in my specialty, maybe it's applicable. Say, for example, my wife is a dermatologist, and for her, the social media part really matters. But in our specialty, I honestly feel it does not matter. And secondly, like most of our patients with these sort of long-term anomalies, they really would not like to be known, even if you're going to, hide their identity in some way. It may be easily known to their colleagues or peers at a later stage, which they would not favor. So I'm particularly against using social media as a way of promoting your practice.
So something I would like to say is, instead of personal social media, the institute's website or whatever organization's website, that is preferred. And many times, if we are posting a picture of a child, like suppose we had Christmas celebrations or whatever, we take permission. We take written consent if it's an individual child. If it's a group, we will announce that this will be there on the website. Or sometimes we post it on closed groups. We have a closed group of survivors of childhood cancer. There they don't mind sharing anything, but the rest of the world can't see. But another way is, somebody who doesn't want their face to be seen, they write stories. And if they want to hide their name, that is also there. So written feedback, that is also very helpful. I think it's important, because only then, I think many people, when they come to me for the first time, I ask them, how did you get to know about me? And they will say, from your website. So we read your profile and we wanted to come. So that is, obviously, if there was nothing on the website, then they won't know who I am, right?
So one more question is, in private practice, this WhatsApp messages and treatment, the patients who have been treated, their peers or their relatives ask treatment in WhatsApp. So what is your point on that?
Though on and off some anecdotal rules are coming from government telling that these type of things are discouraged, but no one is there without WhatsApp nowadays. So it's up to the trust between you and the patient, because WhatsApp tells that it is an end encrypted message. So it's in between you and the patient. If you rely on the patient, I think we can continue doing that. Because otherwise also we tend to give some advice through phone calls. And so there are some instances where the patient's travel morbidity is more than the issue which they face. If they are calling from some 6 hours distance for a minor issue, better to tell them the treatment which they can avail from the home only, on the ethical perspective also. That is my view.
How I deal with it is, A new patient on WhatsApp, I will not handle them much. I will, if they want to see, I said, please come visit once or at least do a teleconsult. So teleconsult, we have a regulation in the hospital and according to that, it will be there. But a follow-up patient, many times you have to give them advice. You know, there's a child with neurogenic bladder sitting somewhere in Ahmedabad, has a UTI, they are panicking, whatever. So either I connect them with somebody there or sometimes I have to give the advice, but I prefer not to write it down. I prefer to call so that, you know, they cannot use it against us. But I think it's very difficult. I would like to know what others, how they handle it.
See, in my practice, again, I have somebody in between, my secretary. So she has established good relationship with most of my patients. You know, they are very comfortable speaking to her. And, you know, see, patients are also very reasonable. They also understand your time is precious and they hesitate to call you. If there is a minor ailment, generally they don't call you. But when that's a secretary, see, suppose you can have a personal secretary or in the hospital, you can have a departmental secretary as well. The patients are more comfortable calling them. Suppose a minor bleeding after hypospadias, they're comfortable calling them. The secretary, with her experience, based on the type of emergency, she will contact you. So and you know, you're always in connect with the patient. You always know what is happening in spite of you not being disturbed for everything.
One quick question to Dr. Ganesh about secretary. How much you pay to your secretary per month? And secondly, if secretary leaves the job, then how do you manage? I mean, how do you make sure that she doesn't leave the job or he doesn't leave the job and do that job continuously? Because our dependence is there now on them and they're trained according to us.
So I fully agree with you. I did worry about this at some point. Then I realized when Dr. Vikesh Agarwal and Dr. Sendil Ganesh can be replaced, why can't a secretary be replaced? It is definitely going to take some time, but you know, they are not as specialized as you and me. There definitely will be some other person. We will have to handle things in between till we get the right person.
And one my comment, like if you give, initially you give your number, phone number when you start your practice like you said, and gradually like switch over to secretary. So patient gets highly offended. See, you have to develop a mechanism. Like I have one number which is running since 20 years. Only reason why I cannot change my number is like my 20-year-old patient also have this number. So that much sacrifice I have done. I have not kept a secretary because initially I decided that I will give number to patient. And now if you give it to secretary and your number goes to the secretary, same number, and you take another geo number, it gives a very bad message to your old patients that this doctor has become arrogant and is like busy nowadays, not available. Just before giving your number, in the initial part of the practice, like Dr. Ganesh said, develop a mechanism. If you really plan to in future give it to secretary. If you don't plan it to give it to secretary in future, can give your number. I give my number, my patient communicate with me. They are trained properly that you have to WhatsApp, you don't have to call. And at times I put audio message like ma'am calls, no? So I put audio message, I don't write. There are certain things you can suggest on audio. Certain things you write, medicines you have to write. And even new patient I will add, madam, if you allow. Like I entertain new patient more because that is how you get more patients. Old is old, no, is yours only. So well, that also is important. It's a post-operative. That is correct.
We need to entertain them, but I do not give a written medical advice.
I give a lot of importance to new patient. Oh, what's that? Send me your report. If it's hernia, okay, fine, I'll meet you. If it's constipation, I may say, okay, I'll meet tomorrow or something
Dr.
like
Vikesh,
that.
sometimes a patient comes through someone's referral. They keep on chatting with us.
That is
and they're showing someone else. Now this is the report. Now that doctor is doing this. Can you please tell us? Then I will just end
it. As she rightly said, we have to create some, but at the same time, just have a habit of opening the report and see at least. If it is surgical case, give due importance. If it is a non-surgical, maybe more like counseling stuff, then give an appointment and meet in your clinic. I think that is how I handle. How much is right or wrong, I don't know.
Any question from the audience? I'm very thankful to the audience who are staying for so long time. So we are happy to take some questions.
Don't get disappointed. These are all getting recorded. We'll put in the channel. And those who are not able to attend, we will, we'll put in our IPS channel. Mostly people will see these videos. I am very sure about it.
Thank you.
See, just one last thing I would like to mention, particularly in case there are any juniors, but you're going to record it. See, when you're moving between a lot of places in private practice, and each hospital, after a particular period of time, you'll definitely be able to assess about what you would be able to manage there. That's point number one. If you're not comfortable about handling a particular patient in a particular setup, don't do it. Don't get carried away at whatever stage in your practice. It may be early. I understand as a senior, you've got more say in these things. But even as a junior, if you think that you might get into trouble, you won't be able to handle the patient, never do it. Point number one. And just one last point which I would like to say. If you're going to a number of hospitals, at each hospital you may not have a reliable medical officer. Say, for example, I visit Child's Trust and Rainbow where we have dependable registrars and postgraduates. But I also go to small hospitals. So say, for example, in Kadalur, which is 180 kilometers from Chennai, the most reliable person for me is the theatre assistant who's just finished his plus 2. But he is an expert in handling all the catheters, tubes and all that. In a different hospital, it will be a staff nurse who's very smart. So in each of these places where you visit, you locate that man Friday and you speak just to them. You just speak to them, don't speak to anybody else because their feedback will be more reliable. You cannot be running between all these places. Even if it's an emergency, you should be able to pick it up on time. So this is what I would suggest to somebody who wants to move between places and operate.
Can I add 2 points very short?
Yes, sir, time is there.
One is never boast yourself in promotional videos or anything. Just tell the truth or it may be an informative education video. If you promote more than what you do, then you may be in trouble. Second point, how many of you see your Google reviews? At times you get positive reviews, say thank you. If there are negative reviews, please explain and write there that I will try to improve upon that and try to improve on that. Negative reviews people see. And your reply on negative reviews is very important because at times patients come to me say, sir, you reply to negative review also, sir. That is very good of you, sir. That's why I came to you, sir. So that is important. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more point I want to add. Regarding the pediatricians who refer, it is very much important to give them a feedback after we do surgery and as far as possible send the patient back to them for their medical ailments. Because that is what the pediatrician expects. If a patient comes to you, it becomes surgical and then it goes to the next pediatrician by chance also. That pediatrician, if they notice, they might stop referring to you. So that is one thing. And at the end of the day, peace of mind is important. You should not go apart from ethical things. Whoever is referring to you, you refer them back to the same person.
So I like to thank.
End remarks you only give.
So I like to thank our experts for their time and their valuable insights. I think this will be very helpful for the new pediatric surgeons, the young Yuva pediatric surgeons who are doing private practice, are planning to go to their private practice. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Vikesh sir and Ramesh sir, for including us in a separate session. Thank you.